Welcome back to the Gold Newsletter channel. Thank you so much for joining us here in New Orleans on the floor of the New Orleans Investment Conference. And I'm joined by John McConnell, President and CEO over at Victoria Gold. John, it's always great to see you. How are you?
Good to see you, Kai.
Are you enjoying New Orleans?
I've been mostly in the hotel. We had dinner last night. It was very enjoyable, the company and that, but I actually haven't had time this trip yet to walk around New Orleans, and it's cold out there.
Yes, and actually a lot of smoke outside as well. I'm not sure if you smelled it this morning.
Yeah, I thought the hotel was on fire.
Yeah, I was looking around, I was looking out the window, I didn't see anything obviously, and then I Googled it. There's marshland burn.
Yeah, I heard that.
So brutal, actually. It's a bit of a scratchy throat here.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk Victoria, because last time we spoke was at the end of May, roughly, in Germany, in person, which was fantastic. But a lot has happened. We've had almost 2 quarters since then. What is it now? End of May, early November? One full quarter at least between us. Let's go through it chronologically, because I think last spoke we end of May, but the summer was quite eventful for you guys. Do you want to recap the summer and how that went for you?
Well, I guess the biggest news during the summer were the wildfires. And I think a lot of operations across Canada were affected by wildfires, and we weren't immune to it. We had a wildfire that started just north of the mining operation, and winds changed and it spread south and became quite a concern. These fires are amazing. It was at one point moving about 6 kilometers an hour.
Wow, that is fast.
Yeah, and I learned a lot about wildfires this year. But, we got concerned not so much about it impacting the mine itself as we were worried about our employees and the smoke and that. So we actually made the tough decision to evacuate the mine. And actually we evacuated twice. We evacuated for about 4 days, and then we looked like everything was all clear. And so we brought everybody back, and 2 days later we had to evacuate a second time. So we lost roughly 2 weeks of stacking on the leach pad. Production continued in terms of gold. One of the nice things about a heap leach is that if you can keep the leach pad running, you're still producing gold. So we were able to relocate a number of people to Banyan's camp and set up a control center there. And through the magic of IT, we could monitor all the pumping and the gold recovery plant from there. And we were producing about 500 ounces of gold, even though there were very few people on site.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, modern technology.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse, I tell you.
Yeah.
I tell you. Okay, so I'm trying to think how we move along, because lots has happened. We have the full production quarter as well. I think maybe let's talk about the Q3 production results, since you hinted at that production was somewhat impacted by the fires. Not as drastically as people might have expected, but run us through the Q3 numbers.
Our gold production is directly related to the amount of material we stack on the pad. So we lost roughly, between 12 and 14 days of stacking. So, we don't see that immediately, but we're actually seeing that in the end of the third quarter. Gold production slipped off a little bit. But generally, the mine is running well, and I'm pretty optimistic that by the end of the year we'll have made up for all of that lost time. So,
are you within guidance? And where was guidance, if you
Yeah,
remind us?
before the fires, we would have been at the top end of guidance. We lost a few days, so I think we'll probably be in the midpoint of guidance, to the low end of guidance.
How's the cost situation? You're running a mine, you're obviously impacted by inflation and other factors. Has that sort of been mitigated, or what's the status there?
Well, I think everybody is finally waking up to the new reality that post-COVID, costs are higher. In our case, our biggest cost center is people. We've probably increased salaries and benefits by 25% through COVID. And that's just to be competitive. Fuel prices are up. So, where I would have said 3 years ago our all-in sustaining cost will be around $11.50, it's probably closer to $14.50, which is the industry average right now.
Yeah, even the majors are producing at that level, or not far below from that. So absolutely. Anything stand out in Q3 in terms of production numbers? Anything we should be paying attention to, or because
Well, I think, if you look at our year-to-date numbers, and we haven't put out our financial numbers yet, but, we're bang on budget. So the mine is working well. The changes we've made in terms of salaries and benefits, we're attracting enough people
The right
and
talent.
better quality of people. So, the mine's running really well right now.
I remember mine personnel or turnover was a big issue, not just during COVID, but in general. Has that sort of been mitigated as well? I think you mentioned something when we were on site.
Yeah, in 2022, our annual turnover rate was 37%. Hard to run a mine when you've got that kind of turnover. And we were always about 10% fewer people than we really needed. For the first time, we're fully staffed, and turnover is down to about 15%. So
Did you hire a new
still
chef?
higher than we like it, but manageable.
Did you hire a new chef? Or
We didn't, but I think we have improved the quality of the food. So
Starlink internet helps, I guess?
we use Starlink in the exploration, but we have fiber optic cable
fantastic.
into site. So
Oh, fantastic. Awesome. Okay, I think we can wrap it up here. We'll wait till the financials come out to dive maybe a bit deeper into some of the matters. But let's wrap up Q3. I think it was in line with what you expected. And besides the fires, I think everything went well. You made a couple acquisitions, actually, in the Yukon. And run us through the rationale there and what's the plan with it?
Well, so we bought the Yukon assets of a company called Sabre Gold. You'll remember that Sabre Gold was a merger of Sabre Gold and Golden Predator, which a fellow named Bill Sheriff had been the CEO and longtime Yukon explorer. But Bill exited stage left, and the new company took over. And they they made the ultimate junior sin. They took on debt. Yeah, about $10 million worth. And it was actually inter-party debt with two of the directors of the company. So further complicating it. And the directors wanted to be paid back. They had always thought markets would turn around and we'll be able to raise the money, no problem. But as you know, markets suck right now, and they were unable. So they actually reached out to us and said, would you guys be interested in buying our Yukon assets, which were Golden Predator, a former producer that, Brewery Creek was the asset. Golden Predator had spent over $50 million drilling it off in detail. So not only was there a resource, but it was an M&I reserve of over 2 million ounces. So our plan is that, we're going to rescope the project, go back into the permitting process, and we would hope that in 4 or 5 years we have a small operation there that produces 50 to 60,000 ounces of gold per year.
Okay. What were the terms of the acquisition? How much did you have to pay for it?
Yeah, so the total was about $13.5 million. First payment was $8.5 million. So for that, we got Brewery Creek. We got an exploration property called Gold Dome that our exploration team is very excited about. And there's potential that there were roughly $11.5 million of tax pools that we can use against earnings at Eagle.
Okay.
So
that's a
very good deal for us.
That's very attractive, absolutely. What are the next steps with Brewery Creek? You said to re-permit it. Do you need a permit to drill again?
We're going through all the data now. We've got all the information, and our geologists and engineers are putting together a plan, and we'll resubmit to the permitting process of YESAB, and we'll redefine the time loan once we actually get a project description into them.
Perfect. All right. Anything else we need to talk about Brewery Creek? I think that sort of wraps it up until we get a bit of a more data, what do you call it, digestion.
Yeah, that's right. In the spring, we'll have a real good idea about what we're going to do there and what the timelines are.
Fantastic. Another exciting project you have is Raven. You've actually been making headlines, and you put out drill results, which is a bit of unusual for a miner or producer to put out drill results. So run us through the rationale of putting out drill results, and what's the impact, what's the meaning?
Well, people get very excited about exploration. We have a large retail group that are shareholders, and they're interested in eagle production, but what really gets them stirred up is exploration and where's the next one. And we made a new discovery 3 years ago, as you said, and we called it Raven. It's about 15 kilometers east of Eagle. Maiden resource was over 1 million ounces at 1.7 grams. So, about almost 3 times the grade of Eagle. We've had 2 more summers of drilling, and we'll update the resource probably Q1 of 2024.
You mentioned the grade of the resource grade, 1.47. The drill results are 5.83 grams over 31 meters. That is impactful. In terms of looking at the economics.
I think the grade will go up on when we update the resource, but too early to say.
No, fair enough. I just wanted to highlight that because I think that is a big difference there from resource grade to the drill results. The question is how sustainable is that over the width of the project, I guess, but it is worth highlighting, I'd like to say. So resource update is the next step. When do you expect resource update for Raven?
Q1. I always say there's 2 times you put out news like that. One is before the BMO mining conference, and the other is before the Denver Gold Forum. So we'll get it out before the BMO mining conference in February.
Fantastic. Good. No, exploration is exciting, but you usually don't see producers just put out drill results or so.
Well, more and more you're seeing it.
Yeah.
Because everybody, especially when you're a single asset producer, people want to know where the next one is coming from.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, since I'm going through the press releases here, there's one we haven't talked about is the amended loan facility.
To me, that was immaterial, but again, people ask about it, so we put it out in a press release. It's, pretty much a matter of course that these loan agreements get advanced, and it's just a matter of rounding up the banks and getting them all to agree. But, we moved it. Originally, it expired the end of 2024. Now the loan agreement comes due end of 2025. We should comfortably have paid off the entire loan facility by then. But, if it isn't, I'm sure the banks will be happy to roll it out another year or 2.
Yeah. Risk management, absolutely. How's Q4 going? I didn't ask earlier. How's Q4 production going right now? Winter is coming out. It is getting colder up there in the Yukon. How are you prepared for it, and how's Q4 going?
Well, we've had 3 winters behind us now, and we've learned a lot. October is always our toughest month because you're going from thawed conditions to frozen conditions, and certainly I see the guys are having trouble with, moving material through the plant. But again, October we were bang on budget. So, and now it's, minus 15 up there and everything's frozen. So, I've seen the first couple days of November, and we're off to a good month here now.
Fantastic. John, did we forget to cover anything? It was a really comprehensive update, I think. So
no, I think we got it all.
Fantastic. Anything we should be looking forward to in terms of next news release, like your producers? Are you going to surprise us with some more drill results? Or
the next press release will be our Q3 financials. Those will be out roughly a week, maybe 10 days. Okay. And then we'll have the resource update on Raven sometime in Q1.
Fantastic. John, thanks so much for joining me here in New Orleans. Fantastic. Thanks for being a sponsor of the of the channel. Really, really appreciate it. Makes it all happen and worth coming down here. So
Pleasure to work with you, Kai, and look forward to seeing you in Frankfurt in
see
less
each
than
other
a
in,
month.
what is it, 21 days.
Don't forget to make a restaurant
No,
reservation.
not this time. It's all done. Or even pre-ordered the menu for the Saturday night. So fantastic. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning into the Gold Newsletter channel here. And John, thanks for the update. If you like this conversation, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, leave a like as well. It helps us and helps the company get more visible online, of course, as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with lots more content from New Orleans.